Hello and welcome to the Game Line, Wales Online's daily rugby debate show. I'm Ben James and the special guests keep on coming. We're joined today by Wales and Barbarians fly half Elinor Snowsill and as ever Simon Thomas. Elinor, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
And yourself, Simon?
Yes, I'm looking forward to another Six Nations week and interesting to see what's going to happen on the team front.
Indeed, we have got that to look forward to, but let's turn attention, since Elinor's here, to the Women's Six Nations. What have you made of it so far? Obviously not the best of starts for Wales.
Personally, from Wales' perspective, it's been a bit of a frustrating start. You know, we lost by a try to Italy, which we really should have won that, especially at home. So we were really disappointed with that one. And then also lost in awful conditions out in Ireland. So again, it's just really frustrating because some of the rugby we're playing is really good rugby, and it's just like that, literally that last pass. Like there's both. I think for the opening 20 minutes in both the games we've dominated possession but haven't come away with any points, and then we've literally defended for the rest of the 60 minutes, so it's been quite frustrating really.
Ben and I were in Dublin Airport just as you were playing, and we were looking out the window and watching the rain lashing down as the women were playing, I think in Donnybrook, wasn't it? And when we saw the footage then, and of course the stuff about the showers not working, it was a tough old day, but I mean I suppose rugby's played in all conditions, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It's not really, as a fly half, not my favourite conditions to play in. I think the forwards prefer that. But no, Donnybrook's 4G, so at least there was no mud to contend with as well.
I was going to say, on a personal note for yourself, it's been a frustrating start to the Six Nations because you've been injured, but then I suppose missing out on the weather in Donnybrook's probably a blessing, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it is really frustrating being injured. I almost dislocated my hip in December, actually, so it's one of those, apparently hips, you don't really know when you're going to come back from it. So I'm just rehabbing. I'm back to running now, which is really good, and sidestepping and stuff, so hopefully I'll play some part in the Six Nations. We'll see.
Maybe a return against England, do we think, in Twickenham Stoop?
Oh, who knows what a return that would be against one of the best teams in the world. I won't be available for France, and then we'll see for the last two games.
I was driving up Westgate Street I think on the day of the international against Italy at the Arms Park. It seemed like a good crowd coming out there. I mean, have you found over the years you've been playing for Wales that the crowds have generally increased?
Yeah, definitely.
Quite significantly?
When I first started playing, I think they were experimenting with playing us in different home grounds. So we played down in Cross Keys, we played in Aberavon, in St Helens, in Swansea. And, you know, although it was good to sort of maybe go to more regional places, it also affected the crowds, I think, especially the away crowd. So you had, I don't know if you, well, obviously if you were in Cardiff Arms Park on Sunday when we played against Italy, the Italian following was really loud. So, you know, obviously they've just come over, they've watched the men's game, and then next day all they've got to do is go next door and watch the women's game, which is just brilliant, you know. And I think we're really happy to be in Cardiff Arms Park, and we really like it as our home ground.
Do you think the Sunday schedule works the day after the game, or obviously sometimes Wales play on a Sunday, but not this season? But Sunday generally a good day, do you think? Yeah,
personally for our home games, definitely. It's, you know, because we don't have to miss too much time in work, because we'll go into camp Friday evening. Saturday full day then to do a team run and meetings and that sort of stuff, and then you play on the Sunday and then you're home Sunday night, so it really does work for home games, and it also works for away travelling fans as well.
How much, when you're playing for Wales, how much time commitment is it?
So it's over Six Nations, very intense. We, to be honest, like from the autumn campaign we had 5 games back to back, and the first 3 games were all away games, and it was a struggle because we were sort of
Spain, one of them, wasn't it?
Spain, Ireland and Scotland, and doing that back to back with then, you know, I think we were coming home sometimes 2 a.m. on a Monday morning, then we were straight into work, you know, 8 a.m. Monday, and then we obviously train every Tuesday night and Thursday night, and then back into it then Friday night.
You got girls like Gwen Llian who are like from Anglesey in North Wales,
I genuinely don't know, right, how the North Walians do it. I think they're superhuman, because they literally Tuesday nights, Thursday nights and weekends take half a day off work, drive down for 4 hours or however long it takes, train, and they get home maybe one in the morning, and then they're straight back in work. So, you know, it's insane, the North Walians. I have huge respect for them.
Do you find yourself being slightly envious of the men who are able just to focus on that, and that's all, that's their job? Yeah,
I think it's obviously if you just compare yourself like for like, but what we've also got to look at is obviously the history of the men's game. It's it's moved forward a lot quicker. They've been playing for a lot longer, because I think until recently women's rugby was a minority sport. Yeah. So we've got to keep that in the back of our mind, because when I first started, there was people still paying to play, and I think there's still some sort of countries now, maybe Canada or America, I think they still have to. So, we've got to keep it in the back of our minds where we've come from. We're now playing, all our games are televised, which is brilliant, because it just opens up our sport to so many people. And for me, a sign of the times, last summer, I was walking on the beach, and this family went past, and they had a teenage son, and they kept sort of looking at me, when they do. And it doesn't happen that often to me, but it happens every now and again. And they came up to me, and they were like, he was like, I've watched you on TV, I just, all this sort of thing. So I had a picture with him. And then he contacted me on Instagram about a couple of months ago and was like, just wondering if you had any tips. I'm going to start playing sevens. I'm going to Rosslyn Park. I really want to make it big. I want to play. And I thought to myself, if in a few years' time he makes it, how cool would it be to say that I was one of his role models? You don't often, you normally get sort of female athletes saying, a male sports star was my role model, but actually now we're seeing it come full circle.
And we know from talking to the union that participation numbers in the women's game, have gone up dramatically over the last few years, really. Whereas across the men's game, and in certain aspects at club level, there's sometimes a struggle for numbers at youth level. There's been a real surge in numbers in the women's game, hasn't there?
Yeah, grassroots level is very, very healthy. I think we've actually potentially got one of the best setups going with our clusters. I go down to my local cluster Capitals when I can over the summer, and I just can't get over how many girls are down there playing rugby for a few hours, a couple of times a week, and you've got sort of under 9s all the way through to under 15s, and they're starting to come through now. You see the young players who are coming through, and they've just got that, they've already got the skill set, and they've already got the love for rugby, whereas when I was playing, most people picked it up at university level. Right. So the fact that people are playing it, girls are playing it now from the age of 8, 9, means that the standard when they come through is going to be so much better.
We've got a few questions here from some readers. Obviously, it's France this weekend. So what do you think of the French women's team, given the apparent strength of the French men's team this series? Obviously, France semi-professional.
Yeah, so the French women's team have always been very strong. I don't know about the stats, but I'd argue they're potentially almost more successful than their men's team, because they're currently ranked 4th in the world. Men's are ranked 6th in the world, so on paper they are. The last 2 World Cups they finished 3rd in both of them, so made the semi-finals in the last 2 World Cups. And they also have a very successful sevens team who compete in the Olympics and on the World Series. So, France really are pushing forward. They're driving the standards forwards, especially in terms of spectators. They consistently, out of all countries in the world, female sort of participating countries, get the most followers. When you're playing France away, you're going to be playing in front of 18,000 supporters, which is just insane. The support, they literally sell out stadiums. So for me, France women are really sort of leading the way in terms of the support and that sort of thing.
Because they're leading the way in terms of television broadcast deals, aren't they? Because obviously all the games are on terrestrial, but I know that France, there's competition for the terrestrial rights, isn't there?
Yeah. And I think because of that, because a few years ago, before maybe other unions were even televising, or they were maybe just streaming it online, before that happened, France were putting it on their terrestrial TVs, and that is now why, a couple of years down the line, they've got a massive following. They take the games regional as well, so they, I think in regions, often they don't get the chance to see international rugby. They don't see men's rugby because it's always in the same stadium. So that's another sort of selling point and another thing that I think they're doing pretty well.
I was reading an article recently, I think in Telegraph or somewhere, and it was talking about the sponsorship issues with the Women's Six Nations. Now, obviously, the Men's Six Nations is sponsored by Guinness. I think there's a kind of affiliated sponsorship element, but there's no title sponsor for the Women's Six Nations rugby. Would you imagine, though, the more coverage there is, the more interest in it, that the firms are going to come on board, hopefully, to sponsor it?
Definitely. I think they've announced that they're going to have, there's going to be a sort of a press release at the end of the Six Nations or a meeting, and they're going to announce sort of future plans, explain it, and I think we'll be a lot clearer on the situation then. But for me, what we can do in the meantime, we can just put on a good show with rugby and get more people. We've got to sell more tickets, so get more people to come and watch. We should be challenging France, sort of England, Wales, Wales especially, because rugby is our country, isn't it? come and watch us play, get more people coming to watch us play, and then those sort of things will come along with it.
Makes sense.
So speaking of rugby being sort of Wales's country, question it, what's your best moment for Wales?
Best moment for Wales. Okay, so as a 15s player with the 15s squad, it was the Six Nations 2015. England had just won the World Cup in 2014, that summer. And then the following Six Nations, we beat them for only the second time in our history. We beat them down in St Helens, and it was just an incredible feeling. Everyone had obviously been really building up England because they were world champions. It was an incredible result for us, and just such a great feeling. So for 15s, it was that. And then with sevens, I'm lucky enough to sort of be part of the sevens as well. And playing in the Commonwealth Games was just incredible. You as a 15s player, you get to play in World Cups, which is amazing. And then Commonwealth Games is just a whole other sort of step up in terms of you have multiple sports coming along. I think we got in, and the first person I walked past was Caster Semenya, and I was like, God, this is really, incredible. And it was on the Gold Coast as well, so it was a hell of a location. So.
And who's the best player you've played against, do you think? Was that one of them?
Read
That's one of the questions.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
From an A Howl of Cross Keys.
Best player I've played against is definitely Emily Scarrett. I've been unfortunate enough to have grown up with her. So she's a similar age to me. And I first came across her, I think, in under-20s. When we were out in the under-20s Nations Cup in Canada, and we were beating England, and we were like, this is brilliant. And then half-time came, they brought Skaz on, she scored 2 tries, game over.
Was she in the centre then?
She was in the centre then, yeah. And the same thing happened for universities. So I went to Loughborough, she went to Leeds Met. We were beating them in, I think it was the quarterfinals. They brought her on for 2 minutes, she scored 2 tries, took her back off again, game over. So no, she's a brilliant player. I do think she's a once in a generation player. She just won World Player of the Year as well. So she's getting the credits as well. Massively
so. We're not just here to talk about your rugby. We also talk about your work, which involves rugby in sort of helping out. We've got a little video clip, I believe, which we'll show to explain a little bit more.
So I'm here working with School of Hard Knocks. We're a charity and we use rugby to help people reach their potentials. So here we're working in a school with kids who either have sort of behaviour issues or confidence issues or stuff going on at home, and we make them into a rugby team. So last year when I got my 50th cap away in Italy, I think 2 days later we came home and I was straight back in this school, so I brought my 50th cap in with me, talked to them about it and just sort of talked to them about the process of international rugby, because something that they'll never be exposed to at this age. After the Barbarians as well, I came back in and showed them the old back heel kick that I did against America, and we did a bit of training around that, so it was really nice that they could see it happen on the pitch and on a big stage, and then have the chance to sort of try it out themselves in training the next day. It's something that can maybe inspire and motivate them to want to achieve it. Quite good really that I can sort of share those experiences with them and hopefully give them even more motivation to succeed.
I like rugby because it's a team sport and also is a lot of activity in it. So you're constantly moving and you're never just standing in one place. Before I wasn't the best, I was always getting into fights and that. And now I've kind of calmed down a bit and it's helped me with my anger and behaviour and that. Some days I could get onto the pitch and just take all my anger out in the sport. Since I started rugby, my dream is to play 9 for Wales women.
Started doing the WIU hub officer role a year ago. Since then, rugby's just been on the up really. When I started, there was a little bit going on for each age group, just a little bit at a time. There wasn't no consistency. But since then, we've really tried to work with, especially the younger groups, to get into a good habit of introducing rugby to their lessons, PE lessons, and after school. So I think it was about giving them the opportunity and seeing where it takes us, and it's been really positive for the year so far. Seeing the person next to you is massive, and is not the person on TV, is the person in your classroom helping you, and I think that's had a really big effect. Some of the girls went to watch Elle play last year, and they went to support her, they went to the stadium, and it builds that relationship with them in their work they do as well.
So there we go, that's the work you do with the School of Hard Knocks. Tell us how you got into it to begin with.
Yeah, I used to run a healthy food business, so I was doing that, and then our manager at the time contacted me and was like, oh, there's this charity called School of Hard Knocks, and they just need a female to come in and coach 1 day a week. And what School of Hard Knocks were doing is they wanted to start offering a female sort of course, because they did it with men, and they did it with boys in schools, and they wanted to start offering that. So I said, yeah, went along, literally loved what I saw. I was like, this is right up my street, basically using rugby to help support people, and the values that rugby brings you, just sort of trying to use them to sort of bring the best out of people. It just built up from there. I got 2 days a week, and now I'm full-time with them.
Because I think that I covered one of the courses, I think was around 2017. That would have been the course, probably. Was that when you signed on? Because I seem to remember bumping into you in Ely when the men were playing their match.
Yeah, I think that was my first adults course that I was involved with, definitely. I think I went down and just helped coach a little bit, probably well out of my depth. That was one of the first sort of starts of it, and went from there, really. I've actually been down in Barry Job Centre this morning recruiting. We've got another course starting next week in Barry on a Tuesday, so it's all busy.
We also saw in that video there clips of the Barbarians, which has been a massive boost to women's rugby in recent times, isn't it?
Yeah.
Having that come in, you've played for them and against them, obviously, in Cardiff last November, but talk us through that little flick over the top, first of all.
Oh, well, that is something I would never normally have the guts to do. But no, I think part of playing with the Barbarians is playing with like incredible players from around the world. And the ones who probably had the most influence and effect on me were the New Zealanders, obviously, I think, as everyone in rugby knows. But no, we had a New Zealander coach, and we had a legend of a scrum half there who'd won, multiple World Cups. Both of them had, actually. And I was just messing around sort of before training and giving that a go, and the scrum half said, look, you need to do this in the game. And I was like, no way. Half the time I do it, it hits me in the back of my head. There's no way I'm going to do this for the Barbarians. And she was like, no, genuine. So that night we woke up the next morning and she'd come up with a penalty move with it involved, and I think because she had the confidence in me, I thought, you know what, if it messes up, I'm just going to blame her. So really lucky that it pulled off. Didn't quite get the outcome that we wanted, but went into the work then the next week, and all the kids wanted me to teach them how to do it, and everyone was on the yard giving it a go. So
you also did that over Sam Warburton's head, didn't you? In the
Admiral video.
I was in the Arms Park when doing Mark Ring, former Cardiff and Wales player, backheeled a conversion over in a match, and there was quite a lot of reaction to that at the time. So I think that's a clip that'll go viral for a few years.
Yeah, we'll see. Well, I've also been told, obviously, when it gets put on social media, you split opinions, and there was all the refs getting involved saying that's a technical knock on. So I don't think I'd get away with doing it again.
Let's try the back heel against Scotland at the Arms Park if you're back.
We'll see.
There we go. I think that's it for all the questions. Massive thanks for coming on the show today, Elinor. Hope you enjoyed it.
Me. Yeah, really good.
As always, Simon, thanks.
Well, I'm here anyway.
Never leaves this place.
No,
that's it for today's Game Line. We'll be back in same place, same time tomorrow.